You felt it before. That quiet, strange feeling that sits in your chest when you're surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. Everyone is laughing. Everyone seems to know what they're doing. Everyone seems to have it figured out. The career, the confidence, the clarity. And then there's you, standing right in the middle of all of it, smiling on the outside, but somewhere deep down whispering to yourself, why don't I feel like I fit in? Maybe you've asked that question in a crowded room. Maybe you've asked it lying in bed at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, too tired to sleep, but too exhausted to get up. Maybe you've asked it after a relationship ended, after a dream fell apart, after you prayed a prayer that felt like it bounced off the ceiling and came right back down unanswered. And maybe, just maybe, you've started to wonder if something is wrong with you. I need you to hear this before we go any further. Nothing is wrong with you. In fact, what you're feeling, it might be the most important thing that's ever happened to you. Because sometimes God doesn't make you fit in, because He's already set you apart. Let's talk about it. 6 reasons why you feel different from everyone else, and why that difference is not your curse. It's your calling. Reason 1. You feel things deeper than most people do. Let's start here, because this one hits close to home for a lot of people. You don't just watch something sad and move on. You carry it. You don't just have a difficult conversation and shake it off. You replay it. Someone says one unkind thing to you on a Monday, and your heart is still thinking about it on a Friday. You feel deeply, intensely, sometimes painfully, and the world doesn't always have room for that. People tell you, don't be so sensitive. You're overthinking it. Why do you care so much? And after a while, you start to wonder if caring so much is actually a flaw. But here's what nobody tells you. The same heart that breaks easily also loves deeply. The same soul that feels pain so intensely also feels joy in ways other people miss entirely. You notice the beauty in small things. You feel moved by music that other people barely hear. You pick up on emotions in a room before anyone says a word. That's not weakness. That is a gift. In the Bible, David was a man who felt everything. He wrote his tears into poetry. He cried out to God in the middle of the night and said, "How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever?" Psalm 13. That doesn't sound like a man who had it all together. That sounds like a man who felt too much. And God called him a man after His own heart. Your sensitivity is not a mistake. God gave you that depth on purpose. Because you can't comfort a broken person if you've never known what it means to be broken. You can't carry someone else's pain if your heart was never soft enough to feel it. You feel different because you were made to feel more. And that more is going to matter to someone one day. Reason 2. You've been through things that changed you. Here's the honest truth. Some of you reading this right now are not the same person you were 2 years ago. And not in a good, inspirational way. In a something happened and I haven't fully recovered yet kind of way. Maybe it was a betrayal. Someone you trusted completely looked you in the eyes and chose someone else, or something else, over you. Maybe it was a loss. A person, a dream, a version of yourself that you miss so deeply it physically hurts sometimes. Maybe it was a season that just broke you down slowly, quietly, until one day you looked in the mirror and barely recognized the face looking back. And now you're walking around in rooms full of people who seem fine, who seem untouched, who seem like life hasn't hit them the way it hit you. And you think, why do I feel so different? Why do I carry this weight that nobody else seems to carry? Can I be honest with you? You feel different because you are different now. And that's not a tragedy. That's transformation. Pain changes people, but it doesn't have to ruin them. The same fire that burns things down can also purify what's left. And what's left in you, after everything you've been through, is something refined, something real, something that can't be faked or performed. The Bible says in Isaiah 43 verse 2, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through fire, you will not be burned." Notice it doesn't say if you go through hard things. It says when, because God already knew. He already saw the season you'd walk through, and He never left. You feel different because life has shaped you in ways it hasn't shaped everyone else yet. That shaping is not punishment. That is preparation. Reason 3. You're asking questions that most people are afraid to ask. This one is quieter, but it's deep. Most people go through life on autopilot. Wake up, go to work, scroll the phone, go to sleep, repeat. Not because they're bad people, just because it's easier not to ask the big questions. Because the big questions are uncomfortable. But you? You lie awake at night asking things like, what am I actually here for? Is there more to life than this? Does God really see me? Does He actually care? Why does doing the right thing sometimes feel like it costs you the most? You ask those questions and look around, and everyone else seems perfectly content not asking them. And so you feel odd, out of place, like you're missing some instruction manual that everyone else was handed at birth. But here's what I want you to understand. The fact that you're asking those questions means something is awake inside you. Spiritual hunger looks like restlessness. It looks like that feeling of there has to be more than this. It looks like not being able to settle for a shallow version of life, even when shallow would be so much easier. Jesus said in Matthew 5 verse 6, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." You feel different because you are hungry for something real. And God doesn't ignore hungry hearts. He feeds them. Reason 4. You've never quite belonged, and that's been lonely. Let's just say it plainly. No dressing it up. It's lonely feeling different. It's lonely being the one in your friend group who thinks a little differently. It's lonely being the one in your family who wants something more. It's lonely being the one who doesn't fit neatly into the boxes people try to put you in. And before someone says, just find your people, can we acknowledge for a second that finding your people is not always easy? Sometimes you go years without a single person who truly gets you. Sometimes you sit in church and still feel alone. Sometimes you have a full phone and nobody to call. That kind of loneliness is a specific kind of ache. It's not just being by yourself. It's being unseen. It's having a whole inner world that nobody ever asks about. And I think a lot of people have prayed this prayer. Maybe you have too. God, I'm so tired of feeling invisible. Does anyone actually see me? Do you? And I want to tell you something, as gently and as honestly as I know how. He sees you. Not the version of you that performs for people. Not the version that smiles through the pain. Not the edited, filtered, socially acceptable version. You, the real one, the tired one, the confused one, the one who cried in the car before walking into a room full of people and pretending everything was fine. In the book of Genesis, there's a woman named Hagar. She was alone in the desert. She had been cast out. She had nothing. She had no community, no protection, no plan. And in that wilderness, in the loneliness, God showed up. And she gave God a name that day. She called him El Roi, which means the God who sees me. Not the God who sees the crowd. Not the God who sees the successful people. The God who specifically, personally, individually sees me. You feel different and lonely because you haven't found your place yet. But you have never, not for one single second, been unseen. And the loneliness you feel right now, it is not permanent. It is a passage. The most powerful people in the Bible did their most important growing in the lonely seasons. David was alone with the sheep before he faced Goliath. Joseph was in a pit, then a prison, before he walked into his purpose. Jesus himself went into the wilderness, alone, before he stepped into his ministry. Your loneliness is not the end of your story. It might just be the beginning. Reason 5. You were wired for a purpose that hasn't fully revealed itself yet. Okay, this one is big, and I need you to stay with me here. You know that feeling where you're doing all the right things. Maybe you're working the job, going through the motions, trying to be responsible, but something inside you just keeps whispering, "This isn't it. There's something more. I was made for something I haven't found yet." That is not arrogance. That is not delusion. That is your purpose knocking on the door from the inside. Some people never feel that. They are genuinely content without a deep sense of calling. And that's okay for them. But you feel different because you have a calling, a specific one. And until you're walking in it, nothing else is going to feel like it fully fits. It's like wearing someone else's shoes. They might look fine from the outside. They might even work for a while. But they were made for someone else's feet. And eventually your feet are going to tell you the truth. That restlessness you carry, that "I was made for more" feeling, that is not you being ungrateful for what you have. That is God's fingerprint on your soul, pointing you towards something He already designed you for before you were born. Jeremiah 1 verse 5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Before you were born, before the mistakes, before the confusion, before the heartbreak and the wandering and the wondering, God had already written your purpose. He already knew the exact shape of the calling He was placing inside you. You feel different because you are different, not better than anyone else, but specifically, intentionally, uniquely wired for something that only you can do in the way that only you can do it. And here is the part that might be the most important thing in this entire script. Your purpose is not always going to announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it shows up in what you love doing for free, in what breaks your heart, in what you instinctively want to fix in the world, in the very pain you've survived. Because the thing God delivers you from is often exactly what He's calling you to help someone else get through. Don't rush it. Don't force it. But don't give up on it either. The purpose is coming. The season is turning. It's not too late. You're not too far gone. You're just not there yet. Reason 6. God is doing something in you that requires you to be set apart. And we end here with the deepest reason of all. You feel different because you are being set apart. Not set aside. Not abandoned. Not forgotten. Set apart. There is a difference. Being set aside means you've been left behind. Being set apart means you've been specifically chosen, taken out of the ordinary flow, because what God is preparing you for cannot happen if you stay where everyone else is. This is the part that's hard to explain to people who haven't felt it. Because from the outside, being set apart just looks like your life not working out the way everyone else's does. It looks like plans falling through, relationships not quite clicking, seasons of quiet that feel like silence from God. It looks like being different in ways that are hard to explain, and it feels lonely. We already talked about that. But there is a reason the sculptor takes the clay off the wheel and into a separate room, the kiln. Not to destroy it, to complete it. The heat is not punishment. The heat is the final step in making something that will last. You have been in a kiln season. Maybe you've been in it for a while now, and you're tired, and you're wondering when it ends. I don't know the exact day it ends. Only God does. But I know that kills are not forever. I know that what comes out of the fire is stronger than what went in. I know that gold is refined by pressure, not in spite of it. And I know that the fact that you're still here, still asking, still seeking, still watching something like this at this exact moment, means the process is not finished. means God is not done, means there is still more He is shaping in you, and He doesn't quit on things He started. Philippians 1 verse 6 says it simply, and it says it beautifully. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. He will carry it on to completion. Not you, not your effort alone, not your perfect behavior or your perfect faith. He will carry it because He started it. And God does not walk away from unfinished work. So if you've been lying awake at night feeling like something is wrong with you, let me close with this. You feel too much because you were made to love deeply. You've been through things because God is building something in you. You ask the big questions because your soul is hungry for something real. You felt lonely because not everyone can go where you're going. You feel restless because your purpose is still pulling you forward. And you feel set apart because you are not perfect, not finished, not without pain or confusion or doubt, but chosen, seen, known, loved. And if nobody has told you that in a while, if the night has been long and the silence has been heavy and you've been carrying more than people know, God sees you right now, right here, in this moment, and He wants you to know, I haven't forgotten you. I haven't given up on you. What I started in you, I will finish. Rest now. Trust me. Your story isn't over. It's just getting to the good part.